of Ukraine and Polish white and red flags and signs supporting solidarity. And our Boston Association between Poles and Ukrainians and our warm relations were born that day. In those days, you may recall, it's easy to talk about freedom now, independence, European Union, NATO, and all these wonderful events. But in those days, we had no expectation that the Warsaw Pact would collapse. And no one dreamt that Soviet Union would cease to exist and would fracture among its states. In fact, there were a great many Harvard professors, learned men, who wrote wonderful, well-educated, supporting theses saying that Soviet Union was entitled to a buffer area, that it was entitled to the Warsaw Pact, that the border between Soviet Union and the free world ran along Elbe River and in Berlin against Berlin Wall. And today we know where Berlin Wall is. When we were marching together here, Poles and Ukrainians and Latvians and Estonians, and many representatives of what we called then the captive nations, we were moved by a certainty that there is a historical imperative that one day both Poland and Ukraine will be free, independent, and sovereign states. And today we have the great pleasure of observing already 20th anniversary of free and independent Ukrainian state. I'd like to mention also that I take great pride in the fact that the Republic of Poland, Rzeczypospolita, was the very first country to recognize independent Ukraine. I'm grateful to be here today with you because it gives me an opportunity, somewhat belated, but 20 years later, to say my personal thank you for supporting the cause of Poland, for demonstrating with us, for making the world understand that slavery and oppression cannot last forever, however long they may last. And I'm also delighted that as a representative of the Republic of Poland, I can bring you the best wishes of the Republic of Poland for the full development of the aspirations of the people of Ukraine for a free, sovereign, and independent Ukraine. Ukraine that is guided by democratic principles, governed by the rule of law, observing human rights and fundamental freedoms, promoting the development and growth of business, and participating fully in the councils of Europe. As you may know, Poland, from July 1st till December 31st, will hold rotating presidency of the European Union. And during that presidency, it is Poland's intention to promote, as best as can be done, the policy that Poland has towards Ukraine. That policy was articulated by our Prime Minister, Donald Tusk, who said, Ukraine's European aspirations are fully justified. Poland will support all efforts which Ukraine will deem appropriate in order to fulfill its destiny. We hope that by the end of this year, when the Polish presidency of European Union comes to an end, there will be signed a European Union association treaty with Ukraine, a free trade agreement, and an elimination of visa regime between the Schengen area and the Ukraine. Now these are very difficult tasks. Some of the difficulties arise within Ukraine, as you know yourself, some arise in Europe. There are German politicians who, looking at the incidents involving Yulia Tymoshenko, speak of indications of lack of freedom in Ukraine and question the application of the rule of law there. There are troubling signs of corruption. On one side, within Ukraine, business corruption. On the other side, Europe has tremendous problems within the Eurozone, which are of economic nature. As you know, Greece, Spain, even Italy are having serious financial problems, and that affects, of course, the potential for the free trade agreement. And we have witnessed the establishment of internal European border controls for instance, between Denmark and Germany in response to the Arab Spring. There are a great many European leaders are against signing of the association agreement and the free trade agreement and the opening of borders with Ukraine, claiming that once this is done, all leverage vis-à-vis Kiev, all political leverage will be lost. Poland, on the other hand, and I want to reassure you of this, is steadfast in its belief that a closer association of Ukraine with the European Union will help to resolve many of both European and Ukrainian internal problems. And so we look forward and we will continue to work for signing of these three agreements. Let us therefore celebrate the anniversary of independence of Ukraine with heartfelt thankfulness for all that has happened over the last 20 years and with the hope born out of progress, and great progress it is, that despite the problems that occurred, that has occurred in Ukraine, for a free, independent, democratic, sovereign state of Ukraine fully engaged with Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much.